everybody. You are some great dancers. Woo! I saw some hips moving, some fingers wagging, and I think we had a great time. Thank you so much for coming. Well, we are going to send you forth in a most wondrous and experiential way, and the group that has been planning this has been doing such a wonderful job. I would like to invite those who are helping us with this first popcorn reflections to move into place. And Cedric, this is yours. Mark, would you hand this to Cedric? So we thank. There we go. I want to thank Mark and Cedric and Ashton for helping with this. What? Michael, I'm sorry. Thank you. This is a wonderful conference. That was a quick forgiveness, probably the quickest I've ever seen. So, what we have been doing is throughout the conference, we have been listening. We have been hearing voices. We have been discerning spirits. And we would like to have a little bit of fun, although it may get poignant at times, to share with you a few of the things we have heard. This is not rehearsed. We think we don't have duplicates, but I want to do two things. We decided not to say the names of persons because we didn't always know exactly who said that. And also, we may not have gotten your quote exactly right. You can always come to us and fix that later if you want, but we think we've got the spirit of it. So, if you would, and I also want to invite you. I'm not necessarily a word person, even though I'm a preaching pastor. I'm a very visual person, so I would like for you to also listen to these words and imagine those moments. Maybe you remember that quote. What did you see? What were you feeling? What were you experiencing? And if not, what do these words bring up for you? Do they capture the essence of what you experienced the last few days? And if there are quotes that you heard, give them to me after, and I will add them, and we'll try and collect them all as part of our conference. And so now, I would invite you to hear these words from the conference. I will begin. I bear witness for those who aren't here because some did not survive.
We were called dykes, and we said, thank you.
After I die and am canonized, everything I touch will be a relic.
If you lift from the head, you get a broken neck. But if you lift from the feet, the whole body rises.
In school, I kind of minored in theology and majored in homosexuality.
God is love, and love is for everyone.
If God has a refrigerator, all of our pictures and artifacts are upon it.
I had that one too. My vision for the future is a constant and unyielding disruption of prevailing narratives.
In 1974, ignorance was the parent of fear, and fear the parent of hatred. And in 2017, ignorance is the parent of fear, and fear is the parent of hatred. The only way to change ignorance and prejudice is to tell your story.
We are like left-handed people in a right-handed world.
Many of the seminarians couldn't understand why I wasn't interested in flower arranging and giving teas.
We cannot be afraid of the pain of growth.
And for the first time in my life, I knew Easter.
Hear these words of the sacred text of my life.
Unbinding the death clothes must be done by community.
History is written from the perspectives of those who preserve their records.
There is where my ministry was born, when we are not yet ready. Ready or not, hear me and my colleagues come.
We were fierce fun, fabulous feminists.
And the caption under the photograph read, Jimmy, Jesus, and the Chicken.
My story is titled The Eternal Search for Belonging. I learned then that the church could not hold my questions. As an adult, I learned the church could not hold my complexity.
I recognize myself as a truth speaker and one who can see the invisible.
Do something and do it together.
No, I mean, what keeps you going? What keeps your fire lit? I think I'm just stubborn.
The church was my home. The church is where I found myself.
Jesus was a vegan.
In other words, I'm a force to be reckoned with.
Because they survived, we will survive.
Love one another as I have loved you. No exceptions.
When I think about querying, I think about being transgressive. And as a black woman, that comes naturally.
We are not done. We are not through. The work of love and faith and justice continues.
We must engage in purging the poisons of internalized homophobia, racism, and sexism.
The question is, whose names are we going to lift up, raise up? And as liturgists and preachers, we have that power.
Let us bear witness to those who did not make it and bring their spirits into this room.
No comfortable sheets, high back chairs, or soft foods for me.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Keep on a-marchin', keep on a-fightin', marching down to freedom's land. Jesus met me at the Majestic Diner, and he is an old transsexual woman. You might imagine I took a lot of tough questions. Sometimes failure is the best teacher. It's not always a welcome one, but it is a good one. It was in 1969 that a woman kissed me and everything changed. I don't say I'm a Christian. That has some stuff for me. But I do seek to be Christ-like. When they rolled me into surgery, I didn't know if I would be on trial when I came out. We offer our stories and give life to others. Oh God, thank you for writing us into your story. In the church library, I found a copy of Chris Glosser's book, and I stole it and read it, making notes in my diary about it. I never returned it. Sorry, future generations. Part of the problem is that there are those who cannot see us as part of the great multitude in Revelation 7. We must always hold up to them that we are a part of the great multitude. But I found your website, and you reignited that little spark of hope. You light sparks for people whose lives have grown so very dim. My vision of the future is a constant, unyielding disruption of the prevailing narratives, and disruption is not orderly. Discard the narratives and get to know the person. Compassion is a gift, a real gift, but it has power beyond our imagination. We're not practicing. And again, history is written from the perspective of those who preserve their records.
History is written from the perspective of those who preserve their records.
History is written from the perspective of those who preserve their records.
I would like to invite Leo Treadway up. He is going to bless our time capsule now.
I'm actually going to do no such thing. I'm not going to bless the time capsule because it has been blessed by all of you. Those of you who are here, those of you who have had the opportunity to fill out one of the cards or place an object in the time capsule. Now, this is really old school. I don't even own a cell phone, so I can't do 90% of the things I see people in this room doing. But I do believe in time capsules, and I have for a number of years, besides working at St. Paul Reformation Lutheran Church, worked with the Minnesota Historical Society to preserve and archive the history of Minnesota's LGBT communities. And so when we decided that we would do a time capsule, I convinced everybody that we should do it old school, that we should create a box, allow people to write reflections of events or persons that they thought had played a significant role, and sometimes that's nothing like having written the Magna Carta or saved a copy of it. It's like finding a book and stealing it from the library. Little things are what make all the difference. For those of you who have watched the PBS series on Vietnam, some of the most moving parts were not the media, but the individual letters for military personnel, for families. Those were the most moving. And so what we are preserving here and which you have already blessed, I hope will be a blessing to those in the future, 25 years from now, 50 years from now, who will open this when they want to be able to touch some of the pieces of our history because we took a moment to preserve it. And now if we could impose on Mark Bowman one more time. I had asked the committee if they would buy a pair of handcuffs so I could fasten one end to the time capsule and one end to Mark, but you seem not to have gotten that. So I leave this in your charge and ask that you pass it on to those who come after you so that the history we preserved because we took the time to keep it will be passed on to future generations. Thank you for your willingness to do that.
what it means to be gathered in such a sacred moment in time. As I prepare to leave this place, I'm struggling to find words to articulate what this space has meant for me. But I'm reminded of scripture that says, "Therefore, since you are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses." I recognize that there were people running the race before you even knew my name. And for that, I say thank you. And now it is my task to continue to do the work of rolling stones away for the many intersections in this movement. And I do so even without knowing the names of the people of whom I run this race for. But thank you for being the cloud of witnesses that gives me hope and tenacity to go forward, even when sometimes I feel like I can't go on. You have re-energized this millennial to run on and see what the end is going to be.
I'm going to appreciate an irony of being here standing next to Reverend Darnell, because I remember the first day he came onto campus at Pacific School of Religion. And you know when you know something, you see someone and you know, oh, we are going to have a future. As I felt that in that moment. And he went on to be the brilliant student that I knew he would be. I mean, he was just the smartest student ever. And I don't say that lightly, because we have at Pacific School of Religion the smartest students ever. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, because he's far beyond student now. I mean, he's pastor and doing all the things that we hoped in the world. But this is what this conference has meant to me, an insight. I did a lot of things in the 70s in this movement, and the 80s, and the 90s, and those years after, what we call them. But something happened in the 80s and the 90s, and that were the most important years of my life in many ways. The AIDS thing that's still going on. But I think I lost something in that AIDS thing, and I gained things. But I see in people like you a fire that I used to have, and I've been trying to get past the stone of the grief and feel like at the age of nearly 60, I still have something to contribute. Absolutely. That it isn't just about preserving a history that I played a role in, but I still have a role to play somehow. But it's been hard to get past that grief. I don't know how else to say it. Those of you who know me are probably tired of hearing me talk about it, but it is a real thing. I can't get over it all the time. So what I felt here is, I'm not done yet. I have as much to do still as I did that 70s me that stood in front of St. Patrick's Cathedral with a big sign saying, "Gay is good." You know, that sounds simple, but I still want to do that. Now I want to do it about immigration and other important related issues. But I feel that what we did then, I'm speaking to my peers now, we're not done yet. And you have stuff that you're going to do too, but we're not done. That's what I'm taking from this conference. So thank you.
Age before beauty. Oh, thank you. I was running on empty. I had nothing left in the tank. I've been going to seminary since 2013. Before that, working on a master's degree in counseling, and it never seems to end. I'm now working as a pastoral intern at a wonderful Lutheran church, and every week it's lifting someone up, sitting with them, telling them what it's like to be me. And sometimes I get so tired of my story. I've told it so many times. And then I come here and listen. I've heard the story of Reverend Lewis many times, but never from him. To be able to sit here and listen to him tell about having a dance and how important that dance was, my tank was filled a little bit. Then heard stories about transgender women who came out before me, who have been shunned from the church and lost their jobs, but have persevered and were able to create new ways to be in ministry. My tank was filled a little bit more. Then listening to the incredible women, the feminist workshop that I went to, and hearing how women have been persevering and persevering and persevering because we have to, because we are children of God. And my tank was filled a little more. The stories are important. And I had the opportunity to tell my story yesterday, and a friend of mine who has heard my story many times said to me, I heard something different. That's the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit channeling through me to tell me to say something different. It isn't my words. They are the words of God. And I heard the words of God on this stage over and over and over again. And if you want to see the face of God, look in a mirror. For I see beautiful faces of God, my siblings in Christ. For we have been raised up together, we have been transformed, and no human being can take that from us. For we have been chosen. We have been chosen by God.
I think the first thing I've experienced at this conference overwhelmingly is joy. Joy from warm smiles, from hugs, from lots and lots of laughter. I've experienced joy. And I've also experienced some pain. Some pain as we talked about the stories that are sometimes omitted from our archive. How our archive reflects systemic racism and white supremacy. How it reflects transphobia and biphobia. And that archive that we have is still not complete. And I have seen in the eyes of many of my friends here who feel their stories are not represented, I've seen sadness, and I've experienced sadness. And I felt that with them. And I've experienced mentorship as someone who I think is supposed to represent the youngins, though I've actually been around for 10 years, but so not so young, but young. I've experienced mentorship from folks who are not afraid to tell me where I should improve, which I appreciate. And mentorship from the cisgender women in the room who've opened their spaces to me and their stories and included me in their narrative as a trans woman. I've experienced mentorship. And lastly, I think I've experienced hope. Hope from survival and resilience and resistance that we will be able to carry forward together as a community and overcome the stones that are still in our way. I've definitely experienced hope. And especially I've experienced hope from the seemingly limitless I love yous. We are a group who is good at looking each other in the eye and saying, I love you. And that gives me hope. The last question, which we're going to talk about in groups too, is what are the stones that we still need to roll away? And stones are hard, and it is challenging to shift them, as many of you in this room have told us about through your stories. So I want to share a small story with you about a stone. The first night here, many of our elders gathered, and they recounted people and things that were significant to them, that they feel brought us here. And person after person stood, and they recounted people that were important, and in almost every case, except with a few exceptions, the books they had written. These were mainly white folk. And as we said, this is what brought us here. There was a huge omission of what had brought us here, with a few exceptions. And it troubled my spirit and my soul, because I know that what brought us here is not just those books that were written, but the agitators in the streets, the people who did not have access to a publishing house, the people who were not politically correct and who could not get published, and whose words were often borrowed and put into the books that we say built our record. That is also what brought us here, and sometimes we're still not naming that. And I stayed silent in that room because I was afraid. So one of the stones that I know I need to roll away as a white trans woman is my fear of speaking out and taking the risk to speak out and say, we have to have an archival intervention, as one of my mentors would say. The archive is not complete yet. We need an archival intervention. So I have to roll away the stone of my fear. The other stone I think I and many of us in this room, we have to roll away together, is the barriers that are still facing transgender people, trans femme people, especially in religious leadership in our communities together. And I say to those of you who rolled away the stone, especially for gay and lesbian ordination in many of your denominations, and many of you are not done, but please, we need your help. Your work is not done. Do not stop working now, because there are competent and blessed and beautiful leaders who are God's transgender creation, and our communities need us, and we still face big rocks in our way. So please work with us to roll away the stone that prevents us from being leaders in our communities. Thank you.
So, we've been told amazing things, and we have been told amazing things from these 4 people. So let's take a moment then of silence, of all that we have learned here over these 3 days, our challenges, our invitations, our welcome, our embrace, our hugging, all those things. And let's be quiet and listen deep inside. Hold these moments. God calling.
I don't think it would be church without at least one phone ringing during the ceremony, during the service. All right, now we want to invite all of you. Oh, before I say this, I need a fish and loaves moment. Some of you have, every circle has 8 people and 8 strings. If you have less people and more strings, I need them for another group that has more than 8. So if you have a few extra, okay, we have an extra bundle. Loaves and fishes. All right, here we go. Here you are, my darling. My pleasure. All right. We have heard from the folks up here, and now we want to hear from you. And we want to give you an opportunity to, in your circles, also talk about what it is that you have experienced at this conference and what commitment do you make to continue rolling the stone away. And so I'm going to just invite you. We have about 10 minutes for this. So we can't have any sermons, preachers, okay, everybody? So if you feel like you have to preach, I'm going to ask you to preach silently within yourself for that moment. And instead, go down into your heart and really, what is it that you've experienced? What's in your body from having been here? And what are you going to take away? So somebody start, and then just because I like things that go to the left, we're going to go around the circle to the left, okay? All right, everybody, please start listening and talking. And don't be thinking while the other people are talking, receive it. You'll know what you need to say when your moment comes. Thank you. This is not the time for the strings. You will be directed. All right. Okay, perfect. Thank you. We're about halfway through our 10 minutes.
Nancy, I worked very closely with Nancy Wilson for the last 8 years. She always says, together we're a genius. I saw that being lived out. And for the Stones for the future, I'm just really feeling a powerful connection and call toward intersection. Changing
I leave here with an enormous amount of energy and magic of refueling and gaining that fuel from storms and tragedy. So I'm about to thirst. I'm a naturally energetic person, but I've learned how to channel energy in those various ways, and I need to hurry and get to where I can channel it. If I hear another story, another movement story, heartfelt story from the heart. I leave here with stones to remove a fear, and I don't know all of what that fear is, but of course I recognize that fear has to accompany it.
One more minute.
In the Psalms, grace and mercy shall follow me all the fear follows me. And I don't expect it to go away, but it's a new fear, which is associated with the energy, which is associated with the energy. And so I anticipate and I leave with expectation. Whatever else, wherever that energy is, I carry that fear and I prepare to do the work of those stones of fear in order to accomplish. Thank you all for your contribution, even in this circle of your experience. Just really incredible. So what I am and what I need to do.
Definitely need to be winding up. All right, y'all. I know it's so hard, but we're going to go around the circle one more time. Now it's going to be the time for that string. So everybody you know where your string is? All right, yes, you go ahead and pass those strings around if you would. Everybody needs one. If you don't have one, I want you to raise your hand and we're going to do some more loaves and fishing. All right, here they come. We still need one more? Oh, here, I've got extras right here. It's like an auction house. Thank you so much. All right. All right. Who else needs a string? Here we go. Miss Mary Hunt, here you are.
Thank you, darling.
My pleasure. All right. We're good? All right. Now, this is what we're calling our ceremony of gratitude and appreciation. And what we want you to do, again, going to your ceremony of practicing love and hope. I might have missed one of the slides on my script. I apologize. Ceremony of practicing love and hope. We need to do that as much as we possibly can every minute of the day. So we're going to invite you to, one person's going to start. You're going to turn to your left, and you're going to offer an appreciation to that person. And just before you say the appreciation, we invite you to ask the person to your left to say, may I place this string on you, and where would you like me to put it? Let's practice being safe. No, 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 no. Hey, hey. Hey. You don't know how many iterations of that we went through to try to get to one that would not do this. This crowd is just a little bit queer. That's all I can say. All right. I want one brave person in your circle to raise their hand and say, "I'll start." And you're going to turn to the person on your left and you're going to offer a word of appreciation for something maybe you heard this morning, something you saw throughout the week, whatever moves in your heart. So let's let this ceremony of practicing love and hope begin.
Just hearing, I've never met you before, but hearing about your concern of people with black skin touched me in this moment. And your concern about your organization. Organizations have life cycles, and I often wonder sometimes if others are going through the life cycle that maybe my organization is going through, how people land in those transitions. They're not easy, particularly when it's time for change. For those people who hear the heart, the beat of change, and have to convey that to sometimes even leaders, it's not an easy position. So I admire your being able to articulate that, and I hear the rhythm of change within your heart, and I appreciate that deeply. Continue to raise your voice and never let it be silent, even moving within.
Michael, I appreciate your words of wisdom, of the April you're speaking on. I love history, and there are histories that simply haven't been written down or haven't been recorded nowadays, or haven't, and we have so much still to share and give, and that's what I heard from you and others from here, and it's very powerful. But I love that we still can thank you.
We've got water.
You are wonderfully clean.
think that's part of our work in deciding, certainly as pastors, what's a text, what's a phone call, what's a physical presence. You have to, as a situation emerges, you have to decide, well, this is not a text call, I've got to go. If it's a text, I'm on my way, it's what the text is. Having to really decipher that is ours to do.
Funny to tell Carrie's story. In the 80s and 90s, before I was traveling extensively, he was visiting Rochester and staying with me partner at the time. I was in Cape Cod style house, and he was in one of the guest bedrooms upstairs. And we had given him a key because he had book signings and meetings, and he had a practice. Our worship service was 6
I hope we're close to maybe 2 minutes, 1 minute. Or some of you are already completed. Great. All right. You're ready? Who needs more time? Okay. We're going to take another minute. And then we're going to sing a song. We're going to sing a song that some of you may know, but we're going to tweak the words a little bit. So Colleen's shepherd us through that so we can sing this familiar song in new ways.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you? How could anyone fail to notice that your love is how could anyone tell us? How could anyone ever tell us we were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell us we were less amazing, isn't it? How could anyone fail to notice that our loving is a miracle? How deeply we're connected to. Now we're going to bring it home. Sing it to yourself. How could anyone ever tell me I was anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell me I was less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that my love is a miracle? I'm connected. How deeply I'm connected to my soul.
We had a dream that this next part was going to be easier than it's going to be. But it's so important that some things hard are worth working for, right? Are you getting the theme of our journey being played out in this entire session? So here's what we're going to do. We are on our way to making 3 concentric circles. I know, take a deep breath. But when we put our hearts into something, I have been witnessing this week that miracles happen. So here's what we're going to do. Those of you who are not able to push chairs, pull chairs, I'm going to invite you just to move right over to that wall because we're going to do this on your behalf. And here's how the circles are going to be. Once we move all these chairs to the sides of the room, then we're going to make a circle of chairs for those of us who feel like we form the foundation of this movement work. We're not saying we're done, but we've been doing it for a while now. We've been doing it for 40 years, 50 years, 30 years, right? So I'm going to be in the foundation because I feel like a part of the foundation of this work. So we're going to be in the interior circle. And then around us is going to form another actual circle that is going to be for those of you who've been in the work maybe 10 or 15, maybe 20 years, and you got another 15, 20 to go. All right? I know, take a deep breath there too. Yeah. But you have a lot of witnesses in this room that you can stay the course for 40 or 50 years, so you're not done, all right? Okay. And then in the last outer circle are going to be our hope. For those of you who feel like you haven't really made your primary contribution yet, we want to be surrounded by you, and we want you to know we've got your backs. So we're going to envision that here. So everybody feel like you know what we're doing. If you're able to help us move the chairs back, go. And right here, I want you to leave like 20 chairs, okay? All right, go and do it quickly. Take your chair. Pick up your chair and take it. Okay, perfect. If you need a chair, we're going to have one for you, so come on in. And those of us who are at the foundation who can stand, will stand right behind you. Okay, start thinking. If you're in the middle group, start forming an actual circle around this interior circle. Candy Holmes right here and Alan have their hands up. Yes, yes. The interior circle, we can add more chairs if we need them. Here, hon. Thank you. Are you going to go on in? All right. Hey, young man, we need you to scoot over so we can get some more folks in our circle. Wait, 1 second, Darnell. We just need to get her in there. Okay. Do we need any more chairs in the inner circle? Okay, those of us who feel like we're the foundation, raise our hands. Wow. Look at that beauty. All right now. All right. Thank you. Those of you who are in the middle circle, let's see it. Raise your hands. Thank you. And those of you who are in that blessed outer circle, we want to see you circling around us. All right now. Janie Spar, do you have a mic? Okay, Colleen took it. All right, okay. So here's what we're going to do. Each one of these generations has written a statement about what was true when we were there. Janie Spar and I are going to be reading ours. What's the problem? I have another one right over here. Where'd it go? No, you took it. I gave it to you. We need another handheld mic. I thought I gave it to you. Well, don't be giving away my mic. Yeah. Yeah, okay, Janie, you got it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is Janie and I are going to read, and then Candy Holmes, and help me, yell out your name. I know Candy, and Mel are going to read in the center. We'll give you our mics. I want you to be in your circle. I want you to be in your circle. Okay? And then the outer circle is, there they are. We'll bring you, you've got our backs. All right, here we go. We were criminalized for sex and cross-dressing. We were considered mentally ill. We were outlaws and perverts.
We came out over decades. We forced the removal of the mental disorder designation.
Janie started, and so most of us.
I know, honey, but I don't have that, remember?
Okay, here you go. We're going to share.
We're going to share.
All right. So
Here we go.
All right, go, girl.
And so most of us survived only in the closet. The activists upon whose shoulders we stand, the Mattachine Society and Daughters of Bilitis, were two small homophile organizations that led the way against employment discrimination.
Most other voices were forced into silence by the socially sanctioned label pervert. Only a few of us came out. When there were at least 3 of us, we organized locally, nationally, denominationally, and we came out.
Over decades, we forced the removal of the mental disorder designation. We overturned sodomy laws. We built affirming organizations in the church.
AIDS hit the gay men in our community with the force of a nuclear explosion. We lost a generation. And from the ashes arose a more united community determined to live and thrive at home, at work, in the church, and in the public square.
We built what we could with the tools that we had in the world in which we found ourselves. We own the foundation we built and celebrate that it will be improved, enlarged, made much more intersectional and inclusive in ways that we have yet to imagine.
To those of you who come after us, we need you. We have things to learn. And to you we say, learn your history, get creative, carry us with you, imagine and build the world you want to live in, and always know that future others are depending on you to widen the welcome.
We learned that the closet was not safe and that our lives were important enough to stand up for. We began learning that people of color, trans, non-binary, sexual, and gender orientations, and those who lived in non-friendly states and locations beyond the U.S. borders had more layers of oppression than white gay men and lesbians in the U.S., and the closet may have been a needed survival option.
We learned and built upon the foundation organizing. We built on ACT UP and marches on Washington. The unrest at the Stonewall Inn became a movement marker. We're learning that addressing isms makes us stronger. In our struggle for rights, we began facing our absence and the importance of standing up for our LGBTQ siblings who remained oppressed because of race, class, and other societal constructs.
We continue to learn that the intersections of our identities is critical to community building and activism. We are looking for the missing prophetic voices of those who were invisible because of these intersections, but still contributed. We speak of and lift up Baird Rustin, Audre Lorde, Zora Neale Hurston, and Sylvia Rivera. Please add the names of these missing voices together right now.
Aloud. We have evolved and call ourselves to wholeness in body and spirit. We have become a little less afraid of our spirituality and celebrate ourselves as spirit beings. We have become a little less afraid of our physicality and have learned that we need to care for ourselves and for the health of our community as we grow older.
We know that to effect policy and change laws around LGBT rights, we must raise our voices as faith leaders, not only in our faith spaces, but also in the streets. We know that we can make demands of our congressional representatives, and we even became openly LGBTQ elected officials.
We built and are building more affirming spaces and sought inclusion in mainstream faith spaces and seek ordination and acknowledgement as ministers, bishops, rabbis, imams, and faith communities. Sometimes we succeeded. Sometimes we didn't, but we never stopped. To those of you who came before us, we will remember you and your offerings. For those of you who come after us, we need you. We have things still to learn.
We are exploring our identities in a world and in churches more open and more accepting because of your hard work, your struggle, and your hope. We are empowered to take risks. We are learning how to navigate our identities in organizations that you built, nurtured and founded, and funded. We are building on your foundation, and we're crossing bridges together. You are our mentors and our elders. We need you. We have things to learn.
We have started to understand our work as deeply intersectional. We are discovering new ways to critique privilege and power. We are working to decenter whiteness, to follow the leadership of queer people of color, and to name, resist, and deconstruct the interwoven oppressions of white supremacy and systemic racism, patriarchy and misogyny, ephimophobia, homophobia, biphobia, and transphobia.
We are deconstructing binaries. We're finding new words to explain our sexual orientations and our gender identities and understand who we are and who we're becoming together. We are non-binary, genderqueer, agender, and cisgender, bisexual, pansexual, transfemme, transmasculine, asexual, bisexual, queer, and many other words otherwise.
We are reaching across lines of difference to do hard work together. We are challenging top-down leadership of large national gay and lesbian organizations and charting new courses that respects the leadership of grassroots organizers.
We are reaching out to work alongside you all. We're listening deeply, expressing gratitude for the ways you nurture us and love us. Mentor us, befriend us, listen to us. It's incumbent upon us to reach forward to the new generation, and we're excited for the ways they will challenge us, change us, and help us to create a movement that is one step closer to the kingdom, Kindom, of God.
This is going to be our sending forth to one another, and it's been crafted to be directed. And we're going to be well led, and each circle is going to have their part. So, Colleen, you can have my mic. I'll give it back. And we have two people who are going to help us, so please, for the power of this moment, be willing to be directed. Take a deep breath.
We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes.
Everybody.
Struggling myself don't mean a whole lot. I've come to realize that teaching others to stand up, fight is the only way that we'll survive. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. Come on, sing it now. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. Come on now. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Keep singing it, come on. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes.
Interior
Sing it until it's
circle.
true. We who believe in freedom
Everybody else, keep singing.
cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. Yeah, oh. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes.
Just the outer circle.
We who believe in freedom cannot rest. Come on, sing it now. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes.
And let all of God's fabulous people say,